we had a Substack article come out just before Christmas by Jordan Chariton over at Status Coup. And the headline here, Progressive Exhaustion, Infighting and a Stalled Movement. Can we reignite the fight? And in this article, Jordan makes a case that, you know, I think was a case that was perhaps worth making in some way, shape, or form a year and a half ago. I mean, this article kind of seems a day late and a dollar short. Seems to be fighting yesterday's battle a little bit. But, you know, what he basically wrote this was as a sort of call for unity, a sort of ceasefire amongst progressive media types. And, you know, he describes all of the work that he's done, and he has done very good work at Standing Rock, at Flint, covering the Bernie campaigns, things like that. And he talks about, like he put in the headline there, the sort of exhaustion and hopelessness that has set in amongst many in this progressive movement. So I'll just read a little bit from the article, and then I'll read some of his sort of bold type postscript, which is really, I think, you talk about burying the lead. That was really, I think, indicative of what he wanted to actually say in the piece itself. But he says, if some or any of these, meaning, you know, what I just mentioned, you know, struggling with the Bernie campaign and Flint, right, and all these sort of causes over the years, you know, marching for Medicare for all or the Green New Deal or, you know, fight for 15. If these have left you disappointed and exhausted, he says, disappointed at the stark fall from 2016 to now, from a progressive movement that was brimming with a hopeful feeling of possibility, of having a shot at changing our corrupt governmental system, of producing greater economic, social, and racial equality, to one fractured, splintered, demoralized, fighting amongst itself, largely disorganized and inactive, to a movement where people feel angry, hopeless, and cynical, but don't quite know where to place those feelings or what to do with them. I'll tell you what you can do with them. You could subscribe to the New Dissidents YouTube channel.
That's right.
Yeah,
you can bring them here.
Yeah, bring them to us. Yeah, exactly.
We're not like the others, man. We're your friends.
Right, exactly. To a movement where, as we've all been guilty of, our vital online spaces of independent progressive outlets have descended into an endless circular firing squad with hosts and channels mostly fixated on categorizing who is the real left and canceling those that are the fake or sellout left, under the notion that once the so-called imposters are expelled, then we can truly fight the oligarchy. And he goes on to make the point that the oligarchy are thrilled to see us fighting and canceling each other rather than them. All right, so then when he gets down, you know, and he makes his case here, talks about all these different struggles, the $15 minimum wage, a public option, abandoning $2,000 checks, reasons why we should be disappointed with the squad and with Bernie Sanders and yada, yada, yada. We've heard all this a million times before. He goes on for a very long time. And then he writes at the end, okay, so here's the real meat of the piece that he buries in the postscript here. He says, if your reaction to reading this is to immediately open your Twitter, whip up a post, and blast this message, that's fine and dandy. Criticism is always welcome. But before you do, I implore you to pause and ask yourself, why? What purpose is being served constantly being at war with like-minded people? Sure, you might not agree with me or others who consider themselves progressive on all things or strategies, but what true purpose? What is the tangible positive end result that can be achieved by progressives constantly berating each other online to the point where we're fighting each other more than neoliberal corporatists? Your answer may be, well, it's not actually infighting because the people I'm fighting aren't real progressives. If so, I kindly ask you to consider if, for the most part, we were all standing together with 2 or 3 years ago with similar policy goals, values, and desires, how can, in your mind, so many you once considered allies now be sellouts or the fake left? Because YouTube hosts like you say so? Because today you
like
are
us.
in lockstep? Yeah, right, exactly. Like me. What do we do?
Me, what did we do?
Yeah, right, exactly.
There's like that old rehab commercial that used to come on in the middle of the night and scare me high, where the guy just looked out at the screen and said, what are you, high? You on drugs? You stoned right now?
Exactly. I'm not going to read this whole thing because it goes on too long. He says, for argument's sake, let's say you believe it's critically important that we rid the movement of fake progressives and leftists. Let's say you're successful. You've won. They are all canceled and discredited. What then? What then? With the fakes expelled, how will the real progressives left over achieve Medicare for all, Green New Deal, banning fracking, saving the planet, overturning Citizens United, a $30 minimum wage, reviving unions, holding cops accountable, growing mutual aid, protecting the internet, and more. How do you do that? Okay, so you've kicked out the fakes. Now how do you win these battles? The answer is you don't win these battles. But here's the real answer. Here's the real red pill that Jordan doesn't want to give you, that most of the YouTube hosts out there, including some of the real left YouTube hosts, don't want to give you, but we'll give it to you because that's how real we are. You're not winning those battles anyway. Those battles are lost. We're not winning Medicare for all in the next 20 years anyway. Doesn't matter whether you hold hands with Jordan Chariton or not, right? Doesn't matter whether we forgive Cenk Uygur or not. You're not winning Medicare for all. You're not winning a Green New Deal. There's a reason why a presidential campaign was described as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. There's a reason why electing Bernie Sanders was once in a lifetime. It was once in a lifetime, and it failed, and it's over, and we're not winning Medicare for all for a very, very long time. And so the bullshit that I think a lot of people have a problem with, they might not articulate it this way because everybody's got to hustle. Everybody's got to act like there is a real movement. There is a real strategy. There is no strategy. There's no strategy. No. There's no nothing. There's no nothing. The rail workers couldn't even get 7 paid sick days. You think you're winning Medicare for all, Green New Deal, $30 minimum wage? People don't come to YouTube to be gaslit. They can turn on CNN if they want to be gaslit. They can turn on MSNBC if they want to be gaslit. They come to independent media to find people who are honest with them. And so that's what I'm being right now, honest with you. The major battles of the day are lost, and they're not being won for a very, very long time if they are won at all. You want to win them? You're going to need an actual revolution in this country. And we're not starting a revolution on fucking YouTube. Okay? It's Google. It's Google, man. We try to start a real revolution on this channel. You know what happens? Some asshole, some Yoel Roth flips a switch and we're off. So just level with people. I think this is why people have a problem with the people like Jordan Chariton. It's not that they're too nice to Bernie Sanders or they're too nice to the squad. It's that they're pumping people up to believe in something that is lost. And I think you have to be honest with people. You have to level with people. Doesn't mean there aren't battles to fight. We gave Dissident of the Year award to Chris Smalls. Yeah, people can do things. People can band together and rise up and win battles. But they're not going to be these macro wins, these fantasies of a Green New Deal, of universal health care. Those are back to being abstractions now. I'm sorry. If we didn't want to be, we didn't want them to be abstractions, we had to win that 2020 primary and we had to beat Donald Trump. We didn't do that. And so that's it. That's it. What, do you want me to bullshit you now for the next day? What, was supposed to fucking string you along for the next decade saying, oh, no. 3 more, 4 more, 5 more AOCs get into the House and we're going to force a vote on Medicare. Nonsense. So, you know, that's where I come down. You know, Jordan is not the worst offender by any means. I don't have an axe to grind against him. You know, I think he means well and I think he's done a lot of great work. But
it would be better for our view counts if we attack him, though. So
we should
come up with something you have against him.
All right. Well, here, go ahead. Think of something.
He never wrote us back when we asked him to come on the show.
That's true. It's true.
All right. Fucking snob.
There you go.
Splitter.
I invited him on the show. He said he just responded, more info on the podcast? ? I gave him more info. He never got back. So there you go. That's a beef.
He didn't like what we wrote.
He stood us up.
He didn't like us. He didn't like.
I mean, at the time we didn't even have 200 subscribers, so I can't blame him too much.
Yeah, fair enough. So we should come back to him. But now, you know, our Heath Ledger Joker-esque nihilism probably wouldn't appeal to him either. Which is what he's speaking out here against. Look, Jordan in this article, you know, he's on the left. He's for real. He diagnoses the problem correctly. He doesn't prop up the squad in that article. He correctly identifies, hey, these people got into office and nobody really thought they were going to just wave a magic wand and we were going to get Medicare for all. But we expected them to make noise. We expected them to fight about it. We expected them to point out the hypocrisy. We expected them not to be corrupted by the system, which in the end, I get it. These are your coworkers and you're facing pressure. I think it starts the first time somebody sits you down and gives you you've got to go along to get along, not for your self-interest. That's not why you're doing this. You're not doing this so that they'll put you on magazine covers and take pictures of you in that fabulous dress at the Met. The reason you're doing this is because eventually you're going to hold the cards and you're going to do things differently. And the first time you accept that argument, you are lost.
Right.
I think that's what happened to all of them.
Exactly.
I don't think they sat down and said, shit, man, there's money to be made here. I think they got sat down by not just one person, various people saying, look, you got to be smart. I understand. Look, yes, I believe in Medicare for all too, but you're never going to get it passed if you offend Nancy. So you have to make nice with her and then she'll make your priorities her priorities. This is how change works. And it's so much easier to listen to that than it is to go and be constantly attacked by the media, be public enemy number one amongst the entire pseudo left establishment. It's easier to go along to get along and just say shit in interviews that you're not actually going to back up with the way that you vote in order to convince yourself that you still have some credibility on these issues. So Jordan, he doesn't elaborate on it quite like that, but he gets it, and he talks about it and what he says about Biden and what he says about Bernie. He gets all of it. He's making what I think is a heartfelt plea that we have to keep fighting the good fight. I think where we might disagree with him is his vision of what the good fight is. We no longer feel that coming together with the Cenk Uygurs and the Sam Cedars is a worthwhile political project, because in the end, we're just holding our noses to no good purpose. You at this point, there is no regular order democracy solution to this problem. You want to come to me when I was out on the street campaigning for AOC, you know what? There was a crazy looking dude who saw all this coming. I was approaching everyone on the street. Big dude with crazy white hair, denim jacket, big guy, 6'4". He's walking down the street. Hey, will you sign this petition for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? Talk to me when you're ready for a real revolution, motherfucker. Right. He kept walking. You know what? He was right. He saw where this was going before she even got elected. Right. And he wanted no part of it. He knew this wasn't going to work. This guy, this random guy on the street. So with Jordan, I get it, man. He wants to believe. It's like the person in the sports movie where everybody gives up. Come on, guys. He's trying to give that speech. Come on, guys. We might have lost yesterday, but you know what? If we come together as a team, and nobody's buying it anymore for good reason, because as you just said, it's bullshit.
Well, and also, here's another place where the rubber really hits the road, right? The big agenda items that he's talking about, Medicare for all, Green New Deal, $30 minimum wage, right?
$30.
Yeah, $30 minimum wage, right? Those big items are abstractions, whether we like it or not. I wish to God that they weren't, obviously, but they are. There's no way those battles can be won in less than 20 years at this point. What battles that could be won, though, such as making the internet more accommodating to freedom of speech values, that is actually winnable. And here's the thing. The Cenk Uygurs and the Sam Cedars are squarely on the wrong side of that. Right. So they might agree with us in theory about Medicare for all, and that's great. But that and, that and $8, will get you, whatever, a hamburger at McDonald's. That means nothing. That means nothing because those battles aren't winnable. The smaller battles that are winnable, which have to do with civil libertarian values, First Amendment, surveillance state, anti-war values. I'm sorry, Cenk Uygur, Sam Cedar, they're not on the right side of those things. So are they our allies in any true sense? Not really, because on the fights that are actually winnable, they're in the way. They're not on the team.
Right.
If you're calling these fucking files drops, these Taibbi files and the Barry Weiss drops and the Elon Musk drops, if you're calling them a nothing burger, you're not an ally in any meaningful sense, because that's a battle that's being fought right now, right? It's being fought by a very imperfect person leading a very imperfect effort, but it's being fought. And if you're using half your airtime to shit on Elon Musk right now, and it's not that he doesn't deserve to be shit on, he certainly does, but if you think he is the greater evil than Jack Dorsey, then I'm sorry, you're not on the team. I'm not going to fight alongside you. For what? What for? What for? Because you theoretically agree with me on single-payer healthcare, on a battle that's not being won anytime soon anyway? What's the point?
Right. Especially when the battles, as you say, that maybe we can get some traction because they're not issues of the left, they're issues of the nation. Exactly. Where you can go to Rand Paul and get him to join together with our side to pass legislation. And let's face it, the Republican red wave was delayed. It was not avoided.
Right.
It'll come later.
Canceled outright. Yeah.
It was not canceled. It was you had a combination of Roe and Trump saved the Democrats' bacon for a minute. Right. But that's not going to be a long-term result. So going back to the article I wrote years ago to much applause and derision, why don't we just try to reform the Republicans instead of the Democrats? That's going to be the only game in town pretty soon. So civil libertarian kinds of issues, it's going to be about the only places where you can get any momentum. And frankly, if you don't have a free internet, all the rest of this is not even at some point in the future.
Exactly. Right. Right.
At least you're going to have to need to be able to educate people about it and debate about it. And amazingly, all these people on the so-called left that you're saying we should be reconciling with don't seem to get is they are opening the door to their own demise by advocating for the principle of censorship. Because unless you're living under a rock, it's not too hard to see that we're heading towards, at the very least, right-wing governance.
Right. And
perhaps
also
fascism. So once you have established a precedent of, well, just say they violated the terms of service, you're the first people they're going to come for with that tactic. And you're not going to have any defense because you're the one who normalized it, or amongst the people who normalized it.
Well, who should know this more than anyone is Jordan Chariton. And I wasn't going to bring this up, but now that you did, I will. His channel gets throttled more than any of them. This guy's got over 100,000 subs, and look at the view counts on his videos. They're like ours with 4,000 subs, 737 views, 1,000 views, 1.8 thousand views, right? I mean, the guy's numbers are not good because, he's being either shadow banned or throttled, whatever. He's being fucked by the algorithm as much as anybody. Look, 2 days, 1.1 thousand views.
Right.
1.1, 1K. The guy's got 128,000 subs. It doesn't make any sense. We get those kinds of numbers. We have 4,000 subscribers. And our background set is a fucking college yearbook photo. A high school yearbook
Boeing
photo backdrop and a collapsing bookcase. Doesn't make any sense. So he should know better, man. Nothing personal against Jordan, but I mean, come on. Get it together, right? And get back to us, all right? Answer our fucking email, too. That's one other thing.
Yeah, answer our fucking email. I was out there with your fucking cameraman at Grand Central Terminal. We're like fucking family now.
Please clap.